here in the studio for this episode of The Independents, streaming on Facebook, X, and YouTube. And today we are trying something new. I'm going to be doing a monologue about what I woke up mad about. And it is called The Gaslighting Machine: Why Millions of Us Finally Said Enough. Come along for the ride. I'm talking to those cameras.
Coming to you live from the heart of the free state of New Hampshire, this is The Independents with Carla Gericke. And now, here's your host, Carla Gericke.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to The Independents. It is so wonderful to be back beaming into your homes and streaming online. Today, I'm going to try something a little different. I kind of woke up with some thoughts about the landscape we find ourselves in, my deep sense of frustration with the fact that while we try and reform the federal government, we really kind of get nowhere. And so I think I'm going to launch what might become sort of monologues, a little more polished and written out than ones I sort of do off the cuff, usually on the show. So be prepared for a bit of a diatribe, a bit of a tirade, one might say, perhaps my own rage against the machine. And if we have some time at the end, I'd love to tell you guys about a great experience at the Made in New Hampshire Expo this weekend. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the gaslighting machine we find ourselves in and why millions of us have finally said enough. So you know that moment when you look at your own body, your own terrain, and you know something's changed. I was a healthy, sporty kid. I was a diplomat's daughter that traveled and ran across the whole world. And I got a lot of shots that came with that travel. And suddenly I'm curled up on the floor with a stomach ache that just won't stop. I had months of pain. My sister started sneezing 30, 40, 50 times per day after hers. And every single time we complained or drew a correlation between having gone to the doctor and getting immunized, then my parents would say, the doctors say, it can't be that. That phrase has been burned into my brain for decades. And today, I'm not here to be polite. The government, the agencies, big pharma, and the captured medical establishments have been gaslighting you and me and millions of other buddies for a very long time. And they've been doing it on purpose. Let me lay it out for you raw so that you too can share my deep frustration. Number one, there is no such thing as public health. It's a giant imaginary bucket designed to erase your actual body, your actual terrain. Public health is averages and models and statistics and risk-benefit calculations that let them say rare side effects without, while thousands upon thousands of us watched our own bodies get wrecked. Healthy kids get the shots, then new gut issues, eczema, asthma, regression, allergies, autoimmune flares. People who are never the same again. My body, my terrain is not a data point in your bucket. Your child's body is not a data point. Health only happens at scale, at the scale of one body at a time. That is the only place reality lives. Everything else is an abstraction that they lie about. 2, they trained us to doubt our own terrain. In high school, they drilled it into us. Correlation isn't causation. We've all heard it. Ice cream and shark attacks, lucky socks, and winning the game of chance. These are cute examples. But when I got those shots as a child, my own terrain started screaming. When millions of parents started comparing notes on social media between 2008 and 2015 and saw the same exact temporal patterns in their children's terrain, what did it mean? Suddenly, the slogan became a club. Correlation isn't causation turned into shut up and stop noticing what happened to your own child's body. They killed our natural intuition so that the giant bucket could keep running its experiments on our bodies. 3, social media let the truth slip out and then they shut it down on purpose. For a brief window back in like 2013-ish, regular people were connecting. Those rare side effects stopped looking rare when you could see thousands and thousands and thousands of people with identical stories about damage in one place. So what did the system do? They didn't investigate. They didn't study the microbiome destruction in the infants. They didn't fix the 1986 liability shield that removed any incentive for real safety testing. No, around 2019, they intentionally broke the networked effect. Facebook, YouTube, X, all of them. They deranked, demonetized, and disappeared those groups of people who were coming together to show things weren't quite so rare. I was a lawyer that was censored for simply talking about informed consent, which is a bedrock of legal and ethical principles. That silencing was deliberate. Then they pivoted to the ultimate gaslighting experience, COVID mania, which we all lived through. That, frankly, was peak fake insanity. Mandates, coercion, job losses, school closures, fear porn 24/7, a death counter. As a libertarian, I watched that and I thought, this is the best opportunity we are ever going to have to turn millions of you, yes, you back at home, off of big government forever. Instead, we actually saw 25% of the population go full-blown Stockholm syndrome. You basically bonded with your captors. Those of you who got caught up in that fear paradigm defended the very system that was censoring people like me, that was locking you down, and that was lying to you. And yet you still defend them today. Number 4, the gain-of-function lab leak cherry on top of a, let's call it a crap stack, but it was a something Sunday. So while all of this was happening with COVID mania, the same bureaucracy that was busy censoring lawyers like me had been quietly funding gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. The US taxpayer dollars were given to EcoHealth Alliance, to Fauci's NIAID, and they engineered the most dangerous coronaviruses in a lab with sloppy safety. And the current administration, Trump just came out with this, now says the lab leak is the most likely origin of COVID. Fauci, back in 2012, himself once wrote that he thought the risks were worth it. Worth it for what? For his prestige, his grants, the power, for his pardon? There were millions who died. The economy was wrecked. Trust has been destroyed. And what did the system do when the lab leak theory got too loud? They censored it, they shaped the narrative, and then Biden gave Fauci a preemptive pardon so that he could ride off in the sunset with his fat pension, his vaccine royalties, and his prestige intact. That's not an oversight. That's a protection racket at the highest level. 5, look at what Ma actually delivered on the federal level. Not the wish list we want, what is actually going on. So RFK Jr., who everyone who watches the show knows I'm a fan of, came in promising safety first, a schedule overhaul, real accountability. But what do we really have here in April 2026? Yes, fine, Pete went on TV and with the Department of War and said, okay, the military will stop mandating flu shots. Yay, okay, great. But beyond that, what have we actually seen that has been materially changed? Thermosol has finally been removed from the flu shots. It took forever to get those out of the childhood schedule, and they literally took it from the kids' jabby jabs and put them in the old people jabby jabs. That's the system you think you should trust. So Thermosol finally removed from the flu shots 25 years late. The military flu shots yesterday were made voluntary. Yay, well done, guys. And, Ma's been doing some good work on nutrition. But the big ones, the childhood schedule overhaul, that's been blocked by a federal judge out of Boston, no less. The new ACIP, blocked. Votes nullified. The 1986 liability shield for the corporations that are making things that are not safe and no one can hold them to account, untouched. No apologies, no real transparency. Strip away the press releases, and the federal system is still protecting itself. The dissidents get silenced, and the giant bucket wins. Here's the hard truth that I've had to accept after watching this shell game for years. The federal government cannot be meaningfully reformed from the inside. Definitely not from the outside, I might add. It is too captured, it's too insulated, and it's too incentivized to self-protect. The pardon for Fauci, the court blocks on Maha, the untouched liability shields, all prove that the machine is designed to survive public outrage, not to actually respond to it. But there's hope. That doesn't mean we're powerless. This is probably one of the strongest reasons I'm pro-independence, right? And the reason why I run NH Exit Now, why I'm involved with the independence work, both on a personal and on a state level, and why I still believe the Free State movement is one of the smartest things still happening in the country. So let's contrast this. Hey, a lot of people said a lot of things were going to happen in DC. None of that is really materializing versus what have we accomplished on a local level here in New Hampshire? So unlike the feds, New Hampshire has actually passed some medical freedom measures. In 2025, we stripped the state health commissioner of the power to unilaterally add new required vaccines. In order to now add a vaccine to the New Hampshire schedule, only the legislature can do that. We've advanced bills around the hepatitis B shot, which no infant should be receiving. That is just literally profit to pharma. So that looks like it might be removed for schools and daycares. And we have simplified the religious exemptions so that any written statement works. So if you don't want to get one, you just say, God told me not to, or whoever your deity is. And we've limited vaccine clinics in schools to only during school hours. This is proof that when there are enough individuals that get together in one place, so localism, right? And keep the pressure on, we can force changes that will not be made at the federal level, right? Smaller scales work better because they're closer to your actual terrain, to your actual body. And they're harder here in New Hampshire for the bureaucrats to hide behind averages and models, right? Like we can actually show things more than just anecdotally. So the Free State movement for me and people coming to New Hampshire to really try and preserve and expand liberties shows what can happen when principled individuals pressurize their local government. So, what's the rational response to all of this gaslighting? You have to stop believing them. You have to stop complying when you know the things that they're saying are okay, from junk food and overprocessed things and seed oils and trans fats and all of it and the jabby jabs. You have to stop complying when you know it harms your body. You should be protecting your own body and your own mind first. You need to go back to believing your own eyes. Correlation isn't causation, but you know what? Some obvious stuff is obvious because it is what is happening. And you need to learn to trust or retrust your gut, your actual intuition. You need to withdraw your consent from these clowns because they are not there to steward your health. They are there to steward public health, which what have we decided? There is no such thing because your body is your body, and that's the only thing that should matter to you. So if you're not healthy, figure it out. We need to starve the system of compliance and legitimacy. We need to concentrate together with like-minded people. So if you're watching this in Brooklyn and you're never going to move to New Hampshire, create a little pod there, grab the other mommies, get mad and go make a difference, right? Demand structural accountability without waiting for saviors. Because here's the reality, folks. No one is coming to save you. We've said it a million times. It's a slogan. People hear it, but it is the truth. Do not obey. Like if they come out with some new scheme where they're like scaring you off the charts, be wary, right? And my point here isn't to be cold, it's to explain rational self-preservation. The federal machine is captured and likely unreformable in a deep way. In fact, I actually asked, as just like a sort of test on Grok, I said, what on a scale of 1 to 10 do you think is the likelihood of any of these reforms we're looking for, of which the most important, of course, is the liability shield? If we can get that away, then you have created an incentive where they actually have to, I don't know, do more than test 5 people for 3 days and then say it's fine. So you need to, we need to recognize that the changes we want are probably not going to come. So I'd asked Grok on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the likelihood any of these reforms, some change, something will happen, someone will be held accountable, because in case you missed it in the middle there, the gain of function lab leak theory is now the prevailing truth. It is what happened. So that means the US government made a more virulent, stronger virus and oops, released it on the world. And then we all went through whatever 2020 plus was, right? So Grok said, on a scale of 1 to 10, 3, maybe 4, that any of these things ever happen. Now, I'm not saying Grok knows everything, because it certainly took me a year and a half to persuade it, as many other people I'm sure did, that the lab leak theory was indeed the one that made the most sense, down to the fear and cleavage site. So just on the face of it, Grok says there's under 50% chance that any of the reforms, the ones introduced by Senator Rand, the ones that are trying to change the schedule, trying to get new people in just to be like honest with the data, it's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. There's a less than 50% chance. And you know how democracy works. So it ain't enough. It's not going to change. So, my recommendation to you is to stop feeding your trust, your compliance, and your hope. Stop outsourcing this to other people, to the government, to the bureaucracy, to the deep state, to the red tapers. Stop it because it doesn't serve you. If you know, having come through these last few years, that something is just not what it used to be. If you suddenly are sneezing a lot more, or suddenly you're like very conscious of your allergies because they've gotten worse. These are all indications that you should believe your own body and you need to do a reckoning. You need to actually be like, oh, actually, I think this really bad thing happened to me and I'm not imagining things. It is what happened. And actually, the truth of the matter is that the people who claim to want to protect you are gaslighting you and lying to you. And that is the truth. So, what can you do? You can move to New Hampshire if this message is resonating with you. If you live in New Hampshire already, please reach out to me. I love to hear from folks. You can reach me at carla@carlagericke.com. But why are we concentrating here? We're concentrating here to build real freedom where it can actually take root, right? Where we can make a difference and then together we can build this ecosystem on the ground, starting with your own terrain, your own body, in New Hampshire, in a state where a lot of liberty-minded people are concentrating and we're actually making changes. The important part that I want to leave you with here is the scale of things, right? Like the federal government is so big. It is so many trillions of dollars. I do genuinely believe it's unreformable. But remember that the only scale where health actually exists is the one they've been trying to erase. And that's yours and mine. Again, there isn't such a thing as public health. There is only your health. From a young age, I know that those shots that I got and subsequent ones, and certainly a MMR vaccine that I was forced to get in college in 2008 in order to get my degree, changed me physically. It took me almost 10 years to get my health back. I know I was censored during COVID severely and strongly for talking about things like informed consent, the right of conscience, your right not to obey, the fact that you cannot make consent mandatory, which is what a mandate is. And I am saying today, I am never letting anyone tell me or gaslight me by saying, oh, the doctors say it can't be that. Correlation isn't causation. It's all those little words they tell you that make you doubt your own mind. And freedom comes from a free mind. So I implore you to stay individual, demand proof. Don't let them say a study says. Make them tell you exactly what the study says because the data is bunk. It's up to us to get the hell out of the federal government's giant bucket of public health slop and into freer terrain. That's how we win. One terrain, one state, one free mind at a time. So those were my thoughts this morning. I got really annoyed. I mean, I was really happy to see that, they are taking away this one flu mandate. Of course, it looks like someone's giving you something, but really when you look through all of it, you realize, oh, they're throwing you crumbs while your terrain, your body is being destroyed, harmed, hurt. So if you're someone who really does feel like they came out of the last 6 years or so worse off than we were, you're not alone. You're not alone. There are millions and millions and millions of people who feel the way you do. And it starts, the healing starts with reclaiming your dominion over your own corpus, over your own terrain, over your own mind, and learning to do what is best for you. And if we're all doing that, then we should sync up where it all makes sense. So I promised we would end with what was happening in the Made in New Hampshire Expo. I was I love going to that every year. I might even put an event up around it next year. We got some tchotchkes, we got some good food, we got some New Hampshire local stuff. This made me laugh out loud. I don't know if the camera there will pick it up, but I will show it here. So this is a little postcard, and it is a photo of a gentleman at New Hampshireman, a Granite Stater, which of course means he's wearing a trucker's hat and he's got a beard and he's got a lumberjack shirt on, red and black as it is. And then it says, "The Guide to Understanding New Hampshire Expressions." And it is the same photo repeated for happy, sad, angry, confused, worried, surprised, excited, bored, and embarrassed. Well, there you have it. I am not embarrassed about my positions. I encourage everyone to start to think a little harder about what you experienced over the last few years and to stop obeying, to really, really, really sit with yourself and figure out how to improve your own health, and to just say no to the federal government. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for joining me. I wish you peace, love, and understanding, and I will see you back here next week. All right. I felt strongly. Thanks for joining me here, guys. I will see everyone back again next week. Bye.